Hey,
We're going live.
can you hear me?
Yeah, we're going live.
Okay. It's sponsored by TagMeADate. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space. Now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats. Here comes the pain.
Well, here comes the pain. Welcome to the War Report, everybody. We're a little light on staff, but that will soon change. This is Vince here with Eric, waiting on Steve. I didn't really read a lot of the messages. I think Kat may or may not be on her way. As Tara asked, saying hello. Hello, Tara. Why is the music so slow? That's a very good question. If it was slow on your end, I have no clue why. I don't know. Maybe I played a thing. Maybe my phone messed up and played it slower than usual. Oh, and before we even started, this guy is the real champion. Our new friend of the show, David Rosca.
Yes.
I really enjoy. Thank you, David, for tuning in because he got here early. He got into YouTube. On YouTube, if it's a scheduled show, you can get into the chat early and you can type in comments. And he was the first. When I logged in to start this show, this comment was here 5 minutes before the show started. David Rosca. Simone Biles looks like a black Trish Stratus. Now,
I can see it.
Sure. I'm not qualified maybe to speak on that. I've seen Simone Biles. I've seen Trish Stratus. I can see that. Yeah. Okay. But we appreciate because, as you know, if you've been following along this few weeks, David has been both our women's wrestling and women's Olympic gymnastics correspondent via these comments. So I know I'm enjoying them, and I'm sure. Listen, everybody else on the show is enjoying them, and I'm sure by extension the commenters are as well. So thank you, David. Thank you, Tara, for joining us. We're hoping a few more people pop on to the chat once Steve gets home and all that. We'll kind of get things going a little bit faster, but we've had a week to kind of digest things. We had a week filled with Dynamites and SmackDown, and Raw was last night, and we're leading up to an NXT live event. So a lot of things happening in the wrestling world. But I'll defer to you, Eric. What is on the top of your mind for today?
Well, for me, we had some stuff in New Japan go down.
Yes.
And I wanted to discuss this, going a little rant here because I'm a little upset at the terrible online wrestling community as a whole.
I mean, yeah.
Even though technically we're a part of it, but okay. Sasha Banks, for artist formerly known as Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, whatever you want to call her, competed. Now, initially, I thought it was a fatal 4-way, but it was just her versus Willow Nightingale for this New Japan. What is it called? Strong Women's
New Japan
Champion?
Strong. Yeah, that's their.
It's kind of like their version of like their U.S. title or for the women or something like
correct,
that.
Yeah.
Okay, and so apparently the plan was for Mercedes to go over and win it, but she legit broke her ankle apparently in this match.
Yeah.
So they kept it going, and because she couldn't go on, ref kept it going, and Willow got the win, which is great for her. I happen to love her. You know me, I'm down with the thickness.
You.
But there's, and of course, not 2 minutes after this happened, right? after we got reports that there was some kind of injury. There's some jackasses coming that some people are saying that, oh, it's karma because of how her apparent attitude has been over all these years, right? Which is terrible because you're basically wishing harm on someone, which is awful. And then the other one is they're going to the well of, oh, she's just injury prone. That tired old trope. So I'm just
Yeah,
getting
I'm
I'm a
there.
little aggravated over that, basically.
The thing I've come to find over these last few years of doing a podcast and then also like just consuming uh comments and such on social media from wrestling fans is that there's a very big demarcation. There's a very big line between wrestling fans who will watch any promotion and WWE fans that only watch. It's like Beyonce's fans. It's
Right.
like BTS fans.
But
If you
I
know,
honestly, though, I'd argue that there's a third category there where there's people that, and I bring this up for a reason, which I'll get to soon. Um, that I think there's a third category in that there's people that legit don't know of other independent, like other promotions, and they're trying to find out, and because they don't know, they get ripped apart for not knowing. So that's a whole other thing, which I'm going to
yeah,
get to
yeah,
in a
yeah,
minute.
that too.
I'm going to get to that in a minute too, because I've got an example for that.
All right. Um, but yeah, it's unfortunate that a lot of the discourse around AEW, around Mercedes and Trinity both leaving WWE, um, a lot of it is driven by WWE fans who are hurt, offended, whatever. You've left the team. You're no longer on my side. So like, Mercedes Monet, now that she's no longer Sasha Banks, was never. It's not that she stinks now, is that she was never good. And I guess she just tripped over her dick into a bunch of WrestleMania main events or whatever. It doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense to me. So that's the real shitty thing, is that you try and have an honest conversation about it, and there's a lot of people who are just kind of still sour grapes, I guess you would
yeah,
call it.
and the whole, like, thoughts about, like, people like CM Punk, for instance,
Hmm.
has been around like 10 plus years at this point. So they often compare
Yeah.
Mercedes to him, and there's I'll be honest, I still don't know who the fuck Ace Steel is. I never heard of this guy.
Oh my god. Yeah, Ace Steel is just a guy that trained. He's a wrestling, he's just as old as Punk, maybe older. He's an indie wrestling guy from the Midwest, so just like always a local guy. Had his little probably WWF tryout stuff, WCW tryout stuff. Nothing ever really came of it, and Punk was trying to take care of him. I think they've just been close friends for so long that he wants to try and get him a job and all that. But also, like,
Okay.
if it's true that he bit somebody, that's a bridge too far. Like, I've got friends and I can defend a lot of stuff. I might even be able to defend my friend biting somebody, but to not understand why an employer would want to back away from somebody like that, that's unreasonable. You have to understand their position of like, hey, an employee used their teeth as an offensive weapon against another employee. This
Right,
has to stop.
like is this guy, getting close to like the New Jack territory, with his,
Is he going to stab somebody? I mean, chairs were thrown. There was a lot of chaos that happened during that show, unfortunately,
yeah,
or in
and
the aftermath.
and I know people have beaten this dead horse so many times, but that whole media scrum, whatever you want to call it. See, I thought a scrum was like that huddle you do in rugby. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yes.
that whole thing, right? They're vilifying Punk, which I kind of, I understand, but you know, I feel like that was a everybody is wrong situation, and I don't think the Bucks and Kenny should be, innocent on everything either necessarily.
Yeah,
It's
I'm,
an it's kind of an everybody sucks kind of thing.
and I was
To
listening
be
to
fair,
right. Yeah, to be fair, of course. Yeah. But on this the Wrestling Observer Live, I listen to that sometimes, and these guys were talking about it where, Tony Khan right now is trying to appease everybody. And what ends up happening when you do that a lot of times when you're trying to appease everybody, you end up making it worse. And now people are, um, both sides run. Trying to make both sides happy, you end up making both sides unhappy, which is what it seems to have happened here with this. Is Ace Steel still employed? Does he work virtually? Can he work Collision? Can he be in the arena because he bit somebody? All this rigmarole. And I guess, right before the air, I was checking the headlines, and as of half an hour ago, 45 minutes ago, CM Punk has still not agreed to show up on the debut of Collision. So the whole thing is a mess. And I appreciate Tony Khan trying to make everybody happy, but I think at one point he has to just make an executive decision and just be like, you know what, we're going to handle it this way.
Yeah,
And Bucks, if you don't like it, Kenny, if you don't like it, tough titties. Punk, if you don't like it, tough.
yeah.
We can talk about contracts and
Look,
all that other stuff. You know what I
and
mean? Like, you just have to take a direction and go, we are firmly moving in this direction.
yeah, and whichever direction they happen to go, you know, it's like you just said, deal with it, for the parties involved. But it's
Yeah.
not the end of the world if Punk happens to be gone. It's not. He's practically been
No.
gone anyway, so what does it matter at this point?
And I'm a Punk guy, and I would love if Punk was on the show, but I also understand that Punk is he's just he's just that kind of guy where he's very particular about things and he takes offense to things very
Yeah,
quickly.
he could rub people the wrong way, and that's
Eh,
understandable. Austin Aries is very similar.
Right. And the weird thing about this is I just don't understand why. I still almost a year out. I don't understand why brawl out whatever Punk said. I don't know why it ever escalated.
Has it been a full year already?
It's been almost a full year because Double was
Holy
Double or
shit!
Nothing last year. Yeah.
Wow,
So I just still don't
time
understand.
flies.
Right. How did this escalate to a backstage fight where people were bit, dogs were potentially injured, chairs were thrown, all of this stuff happened, people get suspended, people are offended. We're still talking about it a year later. People don't want to come on TV. And then the online discussion about it is treating it like, this is like they dropped a bomb on Hiroshima or something. Like there's
Yeah,
terrible tragedies happen.
and people are acting like there's no gray area. Where it's either
Right. Somebody has
someone's
to be right.
right or
Somebody has to
wrong,
be. Yeah.
and that's it. And that's why I wanted to bring up, like, besides the Mercedes Monet thing, which, again, if you're wishing harm or injury on anybody, you're a terrible person.
Yeah. You're just a bad person.
And to go to that backward, that overdone trope of, oh, she's injury whatever. She's no Ahmed Johnson. Like, but I did want to get back into that, like what I said about that third category of people that legitimately don't know about other promotions, and it's not that they don't want to, they just don't know, right? So I had to come on and basically defend the guy. I know he didn't ask me to do this, and I didn't have to say shit, but I felt that the person that was bashing him for no apparent reason needed to be, put down a peg or two, right?
Mhm.
So this guy innocently comments, right? He says there was something about Marshall and Ross Von Erich, right?
Yeah.
Those are Kevin's boys, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. And apparently they're killing it in MLW, but I
MLW,
heard
right.
that their contract is coming up. So this guy innocently, and also I love that this guy that is commenting, innocently, his name is Merlin, which I love, by the way. Right. That's my brother's dog's name too.
Oh my
So
God.
anyway, so this guy says, are they any good? Simple question, right? Right? Wouldn't you say simple
Yeah.
question?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So then this other dude comes on and says, if you even have to ask, then you don't know shit about wrestling. I'm like, there's no reason for that.
Yeah, that's
The
unnecessary.
wrestling know-it-all. Look, we collectively, have been fans for a long time, and we happen to know a lot about wrestling. But I never, claim to be the be-all, end-all, and I don't, say I
Right,
know
yeah.
more than you or less than you. You know, it's, but I just don't understand that tactic. Why go that that route for a simple question? All the
Right.
guy wanted to know, and then his excuse, like the guy's excuse was for, for bashing an innocent question. He's like, oh well, there's a thing called Google. I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude. Come on.
And that's not how you get an opinion. Like, you know how, like, usually what you do is if you like, I'll ask my friend or, somebody whose opinion I respect, what do you think? Or like, if you're asking other wrestling fans, you're not looking for a Google response like, hey, who won the Battle of 1812? Like, you want an opinion. Like, that's a very fair ask of other wrestling
Yeah.
fans. It's just a way to assert some sort of false dominance or
Yeah,
false,
and then
superiority.
and then there was someone jokingly, I think jokingly said, or they just mentioned that wrestling fans can kind of be toxic, right? And I agree
Right.
with that. And then I think either me or someone said that the only types of fans that could be more toxic, arguably, is maybe Star Wars fans.
Star Wars, Star Trek,
Yeah, there's a whole,
certain anime things get that, but yeah, like really Star Wars, Star Trek are good examples, and wrestling are like really, I mean, uh, things that people hyperfixate on and get really
yeah, like
involved with.
that's why I like that. There's two examples like that shows that made fun of. I think it was Saturday Night Live when they had William Shatner on,
Yeah.
and he was like, making fun of that ultimate Star Trek fan, right?
Hmm.
And then there's like, I think it was Reno 911 when Patton Oswalt was the guy that was talking about. I think it was either Star Wars or something, and
Yeah.
it was like those are two examples of like really funny things making fun of the collectively, these types of people.
Yeah, and the ability to take a joke is, part of it, and I know some people really take it so seriously that they can't take a joke. Even because it's their favorite thing. And if you're joking about it, you're almost criticizing. If you're criticizing wrestling or WWE, and that's the thing you identify with the most, or it leads to a whole
Yeah,
thing. Just to clean up some comments here, David, taking a break from the women's wrestling and women's Olympic gymnastics comments. No one likes CM Punk. And see, this is something I kind of tying back into what we were saying.
I do.
I like here's the thing. I like CM Punk, but it comes with the asterisk of knowing that CM Punk is kind of an asshole.
Yeah, like kind of like Ryback,
Right, exactly. But it's one of those things where
who, by the
if
way, apparently has won like rights to the Ryback name. Apparently,
yeah, I think he can. I
if that
think they
even means
abandoned.
anything, I don't care.
Nah, I don't think WWE makes money off of it, so they let
And
it go.
also regarding that, does Matt Cardona own? Did he like buy the Zack Ryder like stuff?
He might have, because they did do that video just the
Yeah,
other day.
I saw that, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
It makes me long for those old YouTube videos.
Oh, I know. That was such a great era with the Long Island IZ stuff
Like
on
he kind of like in a way, you know, led the movement for that kind of stuff, which eventually like Matt Hardy was able to really like
right.
perfect.
Yeah, it was definitely you know, it was that. It was like there were a couple online guys. Cole Cabana was doing his podcast, and that was like, the Art of Wrestling was like another big online thing. You had Long Island IZ, you had the Elite doing their, the Young Bucks doing their YouTube series. Well, that was later, but then the Hardys were doing the Hardy Show and all that stuff for years and putting it up online and selling DVDs and
And
stuff. So
and then like a funny thing, which a lot of people, including myself, sometimes call the Young Bucks, like spot monkeys,
yeah, yeah.
right? But that's also a running joke. And then the Hardys, kind of like Matt Hardy did that whole thing where he named his monkeys Matt and Nick after the Young Bucks. They live near the dilapidated boat and all that.
The dilapidated boat. Yes. Um, let's see here. One more comment, because you had mentioned something about never wishing an injury on somebody, which I absolutely agree with. You shouldn't wish injury on anyone. But Tara says the worst thing that you should ever wish on somebody is explosive diarrhea with no toilet around. I think that's pretty bad. That's
I
definitely
think
pretty
that might be
bad.
worse.
Yeah, it might be worse because at least if you're dead, you don't know about it. If you have diarrhea with no toilet around, you know about it.
Right. There's not much embarrassment when it comes to injury, but this is embarrassment.
For real. So
Mhm.
I guess we should get a little bit into,
Sometimes people accidentally shart. It happens.
you trust a sneeze or a cough a little too much.
But
Something.
yeah, but I think it's time to move on. But I just wanted to say my piece on that, and just I just wasn't very happy about the wrestling community doing shit like that.
No, and that's just a repeated thing because it's
Yeah, and it
eh,
won't end. It'll still go on for years and years.
no, but honestly, I'd rather have that than what we had for 19 years of just no conversation, and it was just all WWE, and you had to live and die by how good
Yes. Yeah.
WWE was. And
I,
not that it was all bad, it wasn't. You had the SmackDown 6 and you had long stretches where there was some good wrestling, but then you had down years, and usually, you know, during the Monday Night Wars, if there was something you didn't like on Raw, you flipped over to Nitro. If there was something you didn't like on Nitro, you flipped over on Raw. Maybe one week you watched all of Raw because it seemed better to you, or you watched all of Nitro because that one seemed better. But you had the ability to, when something got bad, at least change the channel and find an alternative. And you had TNA a little bit, but they didn't. They had the best shot out of anybody, and they kind of
yeah.
fumbled it.
And and then the existence of AEW in general is a good thing for wrestling.
It is, but it melted the brains of some people.
It did, because you got your pro WWE guys and your pro AEW guys. I'm a wrestling fan. I like all wrestling.
Yeah, I agree. Like,
I could also shit on all of wrestling too. Things I don't like.
yeah,
No,
something's bad. It's
no,
bad. Right?
there's no such thing as a perfect company. So,
Agreed.
but that's basically what I wanted to say about that.
Yeah. So should we dip into SmackDown, Raw? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I guess like when is Night of Champions again?
Ooh, is it
Like, I
Saturday?
know
I'm gonna
we
look it up.
just had the what do you call it, show in Puerto Rico, but
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be coming up. Let me flip to this thing. Night of Champions 2023, May 27th, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So
oh,
that's
okay, and
Saturday.
that's interesting, because that happens to be the day that Roman officially is 1,000 days as
Right.
champion.
So they'll have a lot of pyro and stuff. Oh, by the way,
That's interesting.
Tara said the thing about diarrhea was a direct quote from her late mother. Yeah, Saturday's the big show. 1,000. They're gonna have that. They're gonna have. The last time they were there, the last couple times, you saw the depths to which they went to spend all this money on the pyro and all that. Can you
Yeah.
imagine Roman Reigns officially 1,000 days as champion and all this stuff? It's
While
gonna
not
be,
actually defending his particular titles at this show.
but potentially walking away with more belts. I
Yeah.
think he won't. I think he won't. But it's an interesting thought experiment. What if he did?
Yeah, like Steve said, like last week, I think he said something like, I kind of want to see this happen, because if anything, sometimes I want to watch the wrestling internet explode, when such a thing happens. But then again, there's also bad things. Like, there was a collective sigh and groan when Jinder Mahal won the WWE title, or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it'll be a groan, because I think honestly, if they're over in Saudi Arabia, this is like just like the Puerto Rico show. The crowd is going to be hot,
Yeah.
really hot. So
Especially the fact that this is, after all this stuff going on in the Middle East, and Sami Zayn actually being there, which is a big, big deal.
the fact that there is, yeah, a little bit of peace in the Middle East. It's really odd to see Sammy and Kevin go there. It's so, I mean, it has to be getting better.
Who thought that the popularity of Sami Zayn could bring peace in the Middle East? It's
That and women wrestling in scuba suits.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can't wait to see what they're gonna put like Rhea in or whoever in.
Waiting for one of them to be the green guy from It's Always Sunny. Oh man. And Tara agrees, kind of wants to see what would happen if Roman Reigns walks away with the tag belts. There could be a lot of tension there too, because it could be internal tension between Solo and Roman, because Roman might want to carry all the belts, and then Solo's like, wait a minute, one of those tag belts is mine. You should have three. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the all also the heat between the bloodline internally,
Yeah.
between those two teams. Shocked everybody was shocked when they heard Sammy was going over to Saudi, especially. I mean, maybe not everybody. And I know I was. I was certainly surprised because I thought there was no way, especially after that time where everybody got left on the tarmac.
Yeah.
I was like, "There's no
Or yeah,
way."
or wasn't there that whole thing about them? And I don't know if this was true or not, but like some kind of almost hostage situation in which they couldn't go home or something.
That was So there was a potentially. The official line is that nobody was ever told directly that they couldn't go home or they wouldn't be going home. What we do know is that they sat in that plane for several hours and the plane did not take off. Like they checked, boarded, all that other stuff, are sitting in the physical plane waiting for takeoff, and something politically happened. And it would
Yeah,
just
I mean, and luckily it didn't turn out to be one of those plane ride from hell type situations.
I mean, that really could have gone some kind of way, because if you remember, and it was his own dumb fault, Vader assaulted that TV host because he called wrestling fake,
In Kuwait, yeah,
and he had to spend time in jail.
yeah,
Like he was in jail. So, and you could, but he did something wrong. What I'm saying is, in a country like that, you could do nothing wrong and still end up in jail, and they could just be sitting in the air in the plane, and somebody from the Saudi government could just go, "You're trespassing, and we're arresting you because you're trespassing."
yeah. Well, look at the whole Russia Brittany Griner situation.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So wow, really, yeah, Terry, that's gonna let me pop Ryan in here. Ryan, can you hear
How's
me?
it going? I can hear
Good.
you.
All right.
Aja,
Yeah, we can't see you, but we can hear you, and that's fine.
Yep,
That's all we need for a podcast. So
exactly.
we can't see him.
My
no,
time is now.
we were just kind of chatting about the internet's reception to Mercedes Moné post WWE. The thing going on with Punk and how he's still kind of not committing to
Yeah.
AEW. I had to explain who Ace Steel was, and why he's so why the balance of a multi-million-dollar company is resting on the shoulders of a guy named Ace fucking Steel to Eric, which still I don't know why, but I gave him the best shot.
It's impressive that of all the people, Ace Steel is the
He's the
picking point.
linchpin. He's the
Yeah,
cornerstone.
there we go. The linchpin of all the people in the wrestling world.
Because like I feel like it'd be a different story if it was Colt Cabana in that spot.
Yeah, if this was
Because
all,
he's a little more, arguably a lot more well known, I think.
and he has a lot. I think he has a lot more.
He's boom boom.
Cachet.
Right? Yes, cachet is a good way to put it. Guys, I gotta ask, before we go into Raw, because I guess we're half an hour in, we should go into Raw and SmackDown, leading into Night of Champions, leading into an NXT event that's happening as well. But
I didn't even know that was happening. Honestly.
Before I do, shall we check in with our friend David Roska?
I'm always interested in what this guy has to say.
I listen. I am fascinated, because his knowledge. I know a lot about a lot of things. He covers a corner of knowledge that I just don't have, which is very fascinating to me. So Trish Stratus is wrong about being number one. In fact, Nadia Comaneci had been number one, then Trish Stratus. So, listen, there are definitely arguments that Nadia Comaneci is the best gymnast of all time. Sure. And She was definitely had a career before Trish Stratus. So, he's checking all the boxes. He's not wrong.
Not wildly off base.
No, not wildly off base. But I guess, kind of a good launching point, since we were talking about women's wrestling anyway, with the Mercedes situation, Willow Nightingale becoming the NJPW Strong Women's Champion after Mercedes legitimately broke her ankle falling off the turnbuckle. She looks like she fell off balance and then tried to just jump off the turnbuckle and then catch herself on the ground and steady herself, but she biffed the landing and didn't land steady, and yeah, it was not a good scene.
How you always screw it up is the recovery. It's never the fall.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll get into this.
The comeback is always better than the setback.
Yeah, because a lot of things happen on this Raw. It opens up with Brock Lesnar beating up Cody. That's why I played the Brock Lesnar theme to open up the show. It was kind of throughout the show, you'd have segments checking in on Brock Lesnar. You'd have segments checking in on Cody. Cody got the shit whooped out of him.
That reminds me. We had another comment about on the War Report Facebook feed is about Cody is something about the thing with Triple H, and I don't know what it was about. But
it was if WWE's grooming Cody to be the next Triple H.
In what way though? I don't understand.
Oh, like Triple H, the TV SmackDown Triple H.
Yeah, the TV. Yeah, the star, the Attitude Era star, not the marry my daughter. I hope.
Okay.
Yeah. Jeez. But we have this whole thing going on with Cody. Cody's supposedly now got a broken arm that he's going to fight through. Triple H gave him the little father-son pep talk thing. But
it did make sense for Triple H to do it, though.
Yeah, it's
storyline wise.
But now there's speculation. They're what if Triple H? What if this ends up being kind of his sideways way into an authority storyline where Triple H is I didn't forget that you smashed a throne, motherfucker.
Yeah, or you could even go further back when Dusty wasn't having any of Stephanie's belittling the babyface promo stuff, and he put a stop to that. I'm your Huckleberry. I know they were not happy about Vince and Stephanie specifically were not happy about that. But on the other hand, I also have to say this, because Vince is ultimately back in the saddle again. And I never thought I'd say this, but I wish Stephanie was back. I miss Stephanie in at least in that, in the backstage, role that she had. Close to creative and that type of, running the show and that type of thing.
Yeah.
But but there were some other things that happened, like Seth Rollins.
Right, Seth Rollins had these interviews, a series of interviews.
He's got AJ, right?
And then AJ had some time to rebuttal time as well.
Now was AJ?
Yeah, video packages.
Was AJ on the show, or was he doing tape things from SmackDown or whatever?
It was just taped, I believe.
Because of the brand,
Yeah, it was the stuff with Seth. Because now that everybody thought Seth was a slam dunk to win this title, and now it comes out that he's filming a Marvel movie and some other shit, and that's why he wasn't on Raw this week, and it was pre-taped because he couldn't be there. He was filming shit for probably this Marvel Secret Avengers, whatever the hell it's called, movie, and if that's the case going forward temporarily, then maybe AJ Styles is I don't want to say upset because he shouldn't be an upset, but maybe the surprise pick is AJ Styles.
Yeah, and honestly, whoever wins is a win for the fans ultimately, I think.
It is kind of funny though that Seth Rollins is saying that he's going to defend everywhere, and there's a chance he might not win it because he's doing a movie.
You see, then maybe he does double duty, and it's the double swerve where you think he's going to lose because
yeah, and then the underlying title of this Captain America 4 movie is New World Order, which is kind of interesting in and of itself as well.
I heard it's just a placeholder title though.
Yeah.
I don't know if anything is officially official on that. We do
But
have a big. Go
that
ahead.
does work though if there's like a whole Illuminati thing in the MCU also, so that that kind of goes together.
Right.
But I digress.
There is a comment here from Matt Pollock. Let's see here. He's got counting down 4 reasons for the Triple H similarities of Cody. 4. Cody Rhodes injury storyline, something Triple H actually experienced. True. American Nightmare in the game, share an elaborate entrance and finishing move. Yeah, he did start doing that pedigree. It bugs me. It bugs me that when all these people are doing the pedigree, shouldn't happen. But anyway.
Yeah, it should be one person.
Right. 2.
Right. Like there's certain people that don't belong with certain moves. Like when they tried to have Flair give the Miz the figure 4. Look, I love the Miz. I've come to love the Miz, but him and the figure 4 just doesn't work.
Everybody thought that it was all set up for him to give it to Ziggler, and it would have made a lot of sense to give the figure 4 to Ziggler, the bleach blonde hair, the whatever. He was like, he could have been like a new Nature Boy, and instead they gave it to the Miz. And who gives a shit?
It's like in TNA when they were trying to make AJ Styles like Ric Flair in Fortune, and that just didn't work.
Yeah, that was wild. So the share the entrance and finishing move. Cody Rhodes is being made the primary focus of Raw, just as Triple H was, and they both had to struggle to get.
Honestly never went to my head at all.
No, I mean I didn't really think of it, and I mean if they want to run it back with Cody, the only thing is, do you sustain a babyface Cody Rhodes while being the Triple H of the show? I feel like the Triple H of the show has to be a heel.
Yeah, and also not only that, regarding the whole arm injury thing that they're going with here, it they could do like, I'm assuming they could also do something like when Bret Hart had come back and won the U.S. title and was feuding with the Miz for that type of thing, and he basically did what many have done in the wrestling industry for the past 50 years is fake an injury. For all we know, that's what Cody's doing to lull Brock into a sense of security.
Right. Maybe, because I mean, even Bret Hart did it with he had like a steel vest or whatever it was, the chest
Simpsons
protector.
did it. That's for you, Ryan.
Simpsons did it. But also, and as I said, we have our women's wrestling expert listening live on the show, David. I did want to talk about this, and I'm glad he actually specifically brought this comment up. Trish Stratus is scared. I agree with Becky Lynch. She's right. And Becky Lynch is right that Trish is afraid of Becky Lynch. What do we think?
I'll tell you what. I'm also curious on David's thoughts about Medusa having her 2 cents on Trish and that whole thing, and which I know is kayfabe, but still,
of course,
it's interesting. It's interesting.
Medusa is such. I wish they would do more with Medusa. I feel like she has a lot to offer. She could have been the GM of the women's division, or just
like
something.
Randomly,
anything.
Take the title back out of the trash and then give it to. There was Ted DiBiase was involved in that whole thing.
She could be the Jack Tunney. Once every so often, we just see her in an office somewhere. She makes a speech. Whatever. Well, I would love that.
Speaking of Jack Tunney, because I'm, frankly, I do get tired of either the ultimate heel or ultimate babyface authority figure, but we need someone like Jack Tunney who was very stoic, kind of boring, I guess, but you knew when he was coming out to say shit, it was important.
Yeah, the rare use of
right, or the rare use of an authority figure instead of every week.
Linda McMahon later had that kind of deal where when they played that music, that WrestleMania 10 music,
right,
and she comes out, which was a rare occurrence for her to come out after a while, and then she had, shit was going down. So it was like, but more so like Tunney, where he had basically zero personality. I kind of like that though, in a way.
Yeah, that's I think that's the idea.
He was neutral,
Have you ever seen?
Yeah, very neutral.
Like if you're a baseball fan, you've seen Manfred, or you've seen one of the NBA commissioners. Any of these guys, they're not Roger Goodell. They're not Mr. Personality. They are we are here today for the NFL draft. The Dallas Cowboys select at number 32. You know what I mean? They're dry. They're not.
Yeah.
Jack Tunney worked because he was a stuffy suit businessman.
Yeah.
And Tara agrees with us. Tara knows what she's talking about. But I think it was a slam dunk segment. I think the fact that, first of all, Becky Lynch got to reference Trish Stratus barking like a goddamn dog.
That's kind of cool to go way
Deep
back.
cut.
I remember
Even
that. Everyone remembers WrestleMania 17 and the build up to that and all that, you know?
Yeah. But the bark like a dog thing, you would think with all of the Vince McMahon stuff in the news that they wouldn't want to remind
Bring it up.
people. Like, bark like a dog, damn it, or you're fired. You know, like he was wild right then, man. This is such a good thing for the women's division too, having somebody like Trish come back, because, and I know I've said it a couple weeks ago, but I wish she stayed through this and saw out. Like, I know she picked a time to retire and did other stuff, and she's successful and happy, whatever. But like, damn, the what if of watching the improvement of Trish Stratus over these years to get to 2023 and just knowing how she'd be like a Kurt Angle style veteran at this point.
Yeah. And you know, and someone had brought this up that Edge right now is Edge and Trish really are the last remnants of the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
That are currently involved in stuff.
That's it's
weird.
It's really weird.
It's weird to think that's how long ago the Attitude Era was.
Because the thing is, we even reach. Think about this. The Attitude Era happened in the 90s. Oh, freaking hilarious!
Yeah,
yeah. Attitude Era happened in the 90s, and we still pull fans back, or wrestlers back, legends back from the 1980s. We got, you know, we bring out the Hogans and stuff like that are still around. Kind of a weird, but then you think there's like a weird middle, like lost. Carlito might be the only one that they've featured like that as like a lost mid 2000s kind of legend. Who else would? There wasn't,
because even now you can go back and think like there's not really that many Ruthless Aggression era guys left either.
No. But
that was directly after the Attitude Era, you know.
Yeah, it's like, it's weird because I feel like it's people with a lot of the ones
guys
with
like
a lot
Randy
of
Orton
longevity
are possibly coming to an end. And John Cena is part time, and this and that, you know.
Yeah,
Brock, who knows?
John Cena, right? Brock. John Cena specifically said in an interview last week that he couldn't, and I know this is probably like the movie star answer of like, well, I couldn't do wrestling and movies, obviously, but then he goes, I couldn't week to week keep up the quality that I wanted to keep up in the matches. And that's probably true because the guy's getting older. But at the same time, it's one of those things where he could have, if he wanted to do that rather than movies, like if wrestling was making him more money or was more fulfilling, then he would be doing that. But the movies, you know, do you know how easy it is to have a stunt man you got to do some fight scenes and stuff, but like you have a stunt man and you don't have to take the bumps and shit, and you're getting paid millions of dollars. Crazy. I'd make the same decision.
Yeah, and then you go back to like the Saudi Arabia show that Shawn Michaels came back for. And do you think now that Shawn kind of like regrets that because like that everything went wrong in that match, you know?
Well, no, because Shawn probably looks at like the pickup truck and the shed that match bought him or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Like he looks at his 401k and goes, hey, you see that big upswing on the graph right there in 2018? That's that. Like he got paid so much money by the Saudi government, literally a physically crippled person who is medically recommended to not wrestle anymore due to various injuries going all the way back to the mid 90s. And he's like, no, I'll just put some icy hot on it. We're going to go out there and do this thing.
You know, it's just, and
it ruined.
I think ultimately I was upset because like for the longest time, Shawn was claiming that he's going to be that one guy that's never going to come back and never, you know,
because
one match isn't awful though. To be fair,
but
it's not a run.
But
better
you know
than Flair.
Yeah.
that's for sure. And then interesting scenario I thought of, like I wrote a blog a couple of years ago about, like, if Sean is going to come back, what are matches that you'd want to see? And I thought, like, him versus AJ, or him versus Danielson, or him versus Gargano, or something like that would be
Yeah.
interesting things to do.
There are definitely matches that are interesting options.
It's it's the whole Taker versus Sting argument.
Yeah.
It's one of those
Right.
dream
It's
matches,
a brand. It's a brand or a show or a company thing, whatever your preference is. What was your first?
We did discuss. Was there another?
I gotta
comment?
ask this one because I don't even know what it is. What was your first thought when you saw Nikita Lyons' finisher? That's from Matt Pollock. Do I need to look this up?
Yeah, I know what it is.
Oh, of course you do, you pervert.
She did that, like, it's like, I think I've seen, like, Naomi or other people do it. It's like that split pin where she does, like, a split on the
Okay, let me
person's,
see.
like,
Somebody has made
neck,
a
basically their face.
running elbow. Somebody's made a top 10 moves or whatever of. I didn't even know she had 10 moves. Good for her. She does a little kip up, tornado kick. All right, we're gonna see this live, Matt Pollock. Don't you worry. I'm gonna react to this. Superman punch to the corner, combination kick. She does a lot of kicks apparently. Split leg drop with pinfall. Here we go.
But it's similar in a way to the way Rhea sometimes pins opponents, or the way, was it Maurice that did that sensual kind of pin on people?
I've seen that before, but it's usually you got to click on a little thing to say you're 18 before you can get to that website. Yeah, that's called the fish market flop.
Well, look, what about Christy Hemi's finisher in TNA? Like,
it was the fire crotch something?
Yeah.
Was it just the Bronco Buster? What did she do?
No, it was like I think it was almost like a similar to Nikita Lyons, but it was like off the top rope or something.
Oh yes, like a drop. Yeah,
the
she would drop
fire crotch.
Yes, yeah, and she'd hold her leg and do like a falling split off the top. Yeah, that was.
But look, TNA did some stupid shit. I mean, look, they had Conan throw a fucking shoe in one of his finishers for when he was in whatever that group was with Road Dogg and.
I know what you're talking about.
Or the three live crew.
That was the team.
Live crew, yeah. Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
I guess we should probably. What I'll do is we will again check in with our women's wrestling and women's gymnastics expert, David, and then we're going to talk about Night of Champions, kind of like the. We'll go through the lineup and the announced matches and see what we think of everything, because we got about 10, 11 minutes left in the show here. But David did say, Trish, this one, again, some of this knowledge, as I said, goes beyond what I know. And maybe he's a little more in-depth into this stuff than I am. Trish Stratus was afraid not starting doing women's gymnastics. I think what he's saying is she's not just afraid of Becky Lynch, she's afraid of Nadia Comaneci. Retroactively, there's a lot to live up to if she were to have taken up gymnastics, I suppose.
That's also interesting too, because I remember before Trish was even, I knew of Trish Stratus before she was even in WWE, because I
really
was like, she was in fitness magazines and Maxim magazines and stuff like that, because she was, and then she's got.
I was joking about you being a pervert.
And she's got her yoga brand that she's been doing and stuff. So she's, she's athletic, but I don't think she's on Nadia's level.
But I think, there's probably a lot of.
Getting at.
I bet you there's crossover between the skills of gymnastics and the skills of yoga. You need to be flexible and you need to have good cardiovascular, like good core strength.
When you watch Dancing with the Stars, you're never surprised that the athletes are
when a gymnast or a basketball player or somebody does well on Dancing with the Stars. You're like, oh, of course they're doing well. Let me pull this list up here for Night of Champions 2023 from the Jeddah Superdome. So usually this is one where they want to defend. Every title is being defended. Blah blah blah. Every match is a title match. Not happening.
Romans.
Now that's a little different. Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus. I'm going from the bottom up, going up to leading up toward what they're calling our triple main event, aka no main event. Thank you, Jay.
Pretty much.
So Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus is the first announced match on this card of 7, and there might be more added to it because we still have SmackDown on Friday. But Becky versus Trish, no gimmick, no funny business, no stipulations, no titles, no nothing. It's a straight up singles match. Who are we thinking?
I almost feel like Trish should be the one to go over first because I think they're probably going to have another match.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I think Saudi Arabia
particularly maybe SummerSlam would be the other match. So I'm thinking Trish here.
There'll be some shady shenanigans, but Trish will get the win.
Yeah, I think so. I think that'll be
But it's WWE, so I could also see Becky winning. So whatever.
Right. Yeah, it is. It is. Their biggest thing. So I guess the other thing is what would send the Jeddah crowd home happier? Would Becky Lynch, the current star, or Trish Stratus, the returning legend?
Right. Because even though Trish is portraying the heel, she's going to get a big response, positive response too. So
right.
Kind of like Io Shirai had in Puerto Rico. Recently.
Yeah, for sure. So the next match that probably will not, well, maybe they do. I don't know how Saudi Arabia feels about Canadians, but we got Rhea Ripley defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against Natalya.
This is
Tara was thinking Trish. Now she's Rhea Ripley versus Natalya. This might be the easiest pick we've ever had.
I think it's one of those the yearly. We need to use Natalya for something. Storyline.
Yeah,
you don't.
She's always a dependable person.
That's exactly what I was thinking. This is the time of year where you break out Natalya. She has no problem going over. She has no political affiliation with anybody to make shit weird. You know what I mean? Like she's just a very clean cut kind of. I mean, unless you look at her OnlyFans with her stepsister, it gets a little weird. But
that's a whole different.
They're a little too. That family's a little too close. But she's a dependable in-ring performer that they've put her in this spot in Saudi Arabia before, but it's just not there's no question of Rhea Ripley walking away with this championship. If Natalya wins, I will literally just eat a hat. I will go to the other side of the basement. I will find a hat and I will just eat
honestly, this is even more predictable than the Zelina Vega thing because Zelina Vega at least had the home turf thing.
Yeah,
right. Favor. Whereas this is just not that.
It's not happening.
Yeah. So the other one is again going from the bottom. It's a singles match for the WWE Raw Women's Championship, defending champion Bianca Belair, her title up for grabs against Asuka. Now this one's a little bit more of a question mark.
Yeah.
Oh, Tara thinks Rhea for the last match. Thank you, Tara. I'm way behind on the comments. My bad. There's a little more of a question mark here. Honestly, give it to Asuka.
I
would love Asuka to win.
We're all still not quite over the fact that Asuka didn't win at Mania. So maybe
and this is
time.
Next
maybe
pick.
now it's time, and now that she's full heel and all that.
I agree. I think it's now that I guess we've got a full heel turn. Tara thinking Asuka. Thank you, Tara. I'm sure if David picked for this match, the winner would be Nadia Comaneci. So next one, and this is another silly one that we do. This dance we do every year. Oh, who are the ethnically appropriate people to put on this show? Mustafa Ali.
Right. Yeah.
We get Mustafa Ali on the show. First of all, he has to win the battle royale like a fucking goof, like it was a mistake for him to even win the thing. And then every promo segment, he's been punked up by Walter. And then last night on Raw, he's cutting this heartfelt promo, and like 3 seconds into it, Brock Lesnar walks by and goes, "Get a life, kid," and just fucking walks off. Like what at least make him look credible, but this is just, we know what's going to happen. He'll put up a little bit of a fight. Everybody will go, and Saudi Arabia will go Saudi Arabian guy, go. And then he's going to lose and whatever.
That also reminds me, like, since it's in Saudi Arabia, I kind of wonder what the Saudi Arabian fans think of the whole Mansoor being in like the male models
Oh
table.
yeah, I
You know,
wonder
like
with the
I
way.
wonder
Ooh,
what
Yeah.
yeah,
they
that's a
think of
good.
that. You know,
Although I don't, you know what? They could see it as a compliment because not for nothing. You ever seen some of those stylish Middle Eastern motherfuckers? They have a way with an outfit, like the flowing robes and shit. Like they can look
Yeah,
real fly. So
yeah.
maybe he's kind of a positive role model.
And plus they're
real
involved.
fly for a non-white guy.
Plus
Right.
they're involved with Otis and Chad.
Oh
So
geez.
that's a thing too. And I'm sure they're pretty. Otis is a very entertaining guy. Gable as well. So there's that whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a lot still to play out with the acquisition of Otis by the Maximum
Maxine.
Male Madam. We'll see what happens with that. So just to kind of get picks from the comments here, David has actually come through. Bianca will retain, Rhea Ripley will retain, Trish Stratus will beat Becky Lynch. Those are pretty solid picks. And of course, Gunther will beat Ali from David. And then not even a question, says Tara. Gunther wins that
Yeah,
match.
I got to agree.
What happens to so Simone Biles? I don't know if she came to the WWE. Honestly, I don't know why any of those gymnastics women don't sign up. I know we had one pro, like Olympic wrestler turned pro
Oh,
on the
and
female side.
I'm glad he actually brought up Simone Biles too, because what we were talking about earlier at the beginning of the show, where like there could be a toxic wrestling fan base or toxic internet people in general, people gave
Oh yeah.
her so much
hmm
shit for actually wanting to deal with her mental health and
Yeah, just for existing. Poor girl.
it's just
But
but
she's
she's a great athlete, and
yeah.
I could see it.
It would be an
And
interesting
she's
addition
still
if any
very,
of those.
very, very young.
Like if Michaela Maroney, remember she had she was pouting or she had the grumpy face. What if she turned that into a wrestling career and she was like the pouty face, like she would be the heel and she'd cheat and she'd make the pouty face and everybody would boo. Little shit like that.
Generally, and generally nothing, as far as women's wrestling goes, is going to be worse than Charmel versus Jenna Maraska.
I think there are
That
people
is
undergoing chemotherapy who have
that is
experienced
like
less
probably the
struggle.
worst thing I've ever. I think I was at Steve's house when that went down in one of the TNA pay-per-views.
I would rather you just took a pair of pliers and pulled a tooth out of my mouth at
Yeah.
random.
Yeah.
Like just a good tooth, not even a bad tooth. Just pick a good tooth and pull it.
No, just random, no rhyme reasons. Take the
No,
pliers
just
in,
close your eyes
yank.
and pick one.
That is the kind of thing that actually makes Jinder Mahal's reign with championship look good. That's how bad it was.
It was incredible if only for
I
its.
love this comment by Tara here. That's exactly what we're thinking.
I love Ali, but come on. Yeah, this is exactly how we feel. Like he has to be built. You can't just make him credible the week before the pay-per-view. You know what I mean? We got to do something. He's not even that credible. So he has to be built up before challenge. It's ridiculous. It's wrestling 101.
Yeah, and like I brought up last week, I almost feel like it would be more believable if he was challenging Theory
Yes.
for his title, because he's of similar
Size and build and all that. Yeah, that would make way more
on
sense.
a roll with the and we all think that he's going to beat Honky Tonk Man's record. So
Right.
And
Yeah, I
again,
mean, he very
Gunther
well
could be a good person that could possibly take the belts from Roman
right
at some point.
Yeah,
So
of course. He would be a great choice. David, again, he said earlier, he's reiterating Simone Biles looks like a black Trish Stratus. Yeah. But also Simone Biles, she recently married a football player. His name escapes me right now, but he was drafted by my team, the Green Bay Packers. So now she is going to be a resident of Green Bay, Wisconsin.
No.
Kennedy. We got the undisputed. So now we have what's being billed as the triple main event. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defend their undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships against the Bloodline, but not who you'd expect. It's the team of Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, accompanied by Paul Heyman.
Yep.
What do you think? Where are we going?
I don't think that Roman and Solo are winning, but I could see it happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all I
Never
can
bet
say about
against
it.
Roman.
Right?
I've
Yeah.
been saying it every week. Whenever these pick'ems come up, never bet against Rome. I guess I gotta throw my hat in the ring for this guy. I think he might, just out of curiosity's sake, I gotta see what happens if he wins these titles because the internet's gonna melt down.
But here's the thing: if the Sammy and Kevin retain, I mean, I guess it's obvious Solo is going to be the one getting pinned. But I've
Yes.
heard how amazing would it be if Sammy pinned fucking Roman?
Well, that could be a way to reheat Sammy versus Roman for SummerSlam if they go that route. Then he rightfully
for all we know, Kevin and Sammy could end up losing their belts before SummerSlam between now and then. Anyway,
right. And they could, and then you have the precedent of, well, Sammy pinned the world champion. It might have been in a tag match, but he pinned the world champion, and that means something. So then you can set up a SummerSlam match.
I know someone's going to say, "Oh, but they're on opposite brands," but they've already fucked that up, like Steve said. So
Yeah, exactly. There's no such thing as brand loyalty, brand split, despite how many times they try and sell it to us. Cody versus Brock. I know I said it last time and he lost, but man, I can't bet against Brock Lesnar either.
Yeah, I'm picking Brock
because I feel like it's the story. Like this him being injured and fighting through it's going to lead to having to have another special stipulation match.
Hard times, baby.
Last man standing or something. Or you know what? There you go. It's going to be a fucking bull rope match.
Yeah, bunkhouse brawl or whatever.
Yep, bunkhouse match, bull rope match, something like that. Coal miner's glove on a pole, daddy. I don't know, something like that.
But this one could end up having a dusty finish, if you will.
Yeah, that was the thing. The last finish was a little weird because it was short of like rolling over him with a tank. Cody had to do everything. He had to blindside him at the beginning of the match. He had to hit him with stairs. He had to bust him open on a turnbuckle. Uncovered turnbuckle and all this other stuff.
What kind of match is this?
It just says singles match on this
is a regular
Wikipedia
one?
page here. Yeah.
Okay, so Brock. Because again, like that last one, there was weapons involved and shit like that. So there's an excuse.
Yeah.
But a regular match, Brock. I can see Cody winning the ultimate redemption eventually. Maybe at SummerSlam or whenever it is, but
and let me see here. Oh, we got some comments. Matt Pollock with a couple coming in. Usos are interfering and causes Soul and Reigns to lose. I could see that happening.
Yeah, that can happen too. I honestly forgot about that.
Right, which would set up Soul and Reigns versus the Usos. Tara picks Roman and Solo only because I think that will be the final nail in the coffin, be the catalyst of the end of the bloodline. Ooh. And then Tara picks Cody. Cody, listen, Cody surprised everybody last time, so why couldn't, who's to say he can't slay the beast twice? Twice in a row.
And then the other thing, and I think we brought this up last week, is that should Roman and Solo win, then you've got Roman and Solo versus the Usos when that bloodline thing explodes too. Like that's a possibility as well. And I've heard talks of that at SummerSlam possibly.
Right, yeah, that could be the big blow. It could be the Solo Roman bloodline against the Usos bloodline. The bloodline explode. Yeah.
If you notice, though, there was a little slight thing between Roman and Solo as well.
Yeah, there's tension between those guys, which is why I think if they held titles with each other, Roman could be trying to overshadow this guy, and he wants to be like, "Hey, if we're a team, we should be equals, and I should, and that's where their internal tension comes in."
Because here's the thing, and Ryan, I think you'd agree with this, that because you're one of the guys that is kind of getting a little tired of Roman on top like all the goddamn time, and so like this is really at this point one of the only ways to keep it interesting while keeping the belt on Roman,
Yeah, you got to have some interchangeability with Roman.
And that's what's so great about the bloodline. I mean, look, it started with the whole dissension from Sami Zayn and questioning Jay Uso's,
Yeah. Right. It started with them not even being a unit. They were pretty much against each other.
and then and again pitting the Usos against their younger brother Solo is very interesting, and Heyman just is like a puppet master with a lot of this stuff on behalf of Roman, but still.
Yeah, it's very there's a lot of ways, there's
We
still a
need
lot
to
of legs in the
we
story.
need to remember that Heyman still is also a big part of the interesting and popularity parts of the whole bloodline.
Right, and Heyman,
And there's history there.
if Heyman can call in favors from people, maybe he's not above calling in a favor from Brock, and
I just watched this whole thing in MLW, and by the way, Cardona is now the new champion. He beat Jacob Fatu.
Oh wow.
But recently, I saw this thing recently where Jacob Fatu and his father, Tonga Kid, Tama, whatever you want to call him, Samoan Savage. He's had many names. Rikishi came in, and all these fucking, every Samoan that's not in WWE that you could think of came in and destroyed.
Pretty
I
much.
think it was Hobbs, I think, and it was a really cool thing. So and I think wasn't there talks about Jacob Fatu's contract in possibly ending as well? I don't know what the deal is with that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think everybody's been waiting for his.
Or maybe I'm thinking of Nick Aldis with the but he's now he decided to go to Impact, I think.
Yeah, Nick Aldis is now back.
But I don't know if that's official.
Well, who knows how long? Right.
Yeah.
It could be. And our last match, because we went a little overtime, but we got a handful of viewers that are still sticking with us. So we'll keep on keeping on. Our true main event of the evening that should be. I understand all the other matches are big and feature champions and notable people, but this should be treated as the main event of the evening and should go on last because it is the finals of a tournament to crown a new world heavyweight champion who will be the champion exclusively to the Raw brand. Seth Rollins, the finalist of one side of the bracket, the phenomenal AJ Styles on the other side of the bracket, another finalist, and again, no gimmicks, no weird stipulations, nothing like that. This is a one-on-one, straight-up singles match between two of the best guys in the company.
For a long time I had Seth, but it kind of came into question now. And not even because of the whole movie thing, but just because it ultimately became somewhat too predictable. But predictability is not always a bad thing. Like you said, whatever happened to predictability?
Whatever happened?
The milkman, the paperboy, everywhere you look.
Everywhere you look, man. Everywhere you look. Yeah, I thought Seth was walking right through this tournament into that title. And the idea of him doing outside projects has kind of put a wrinkle in my pick.
Honestly, I don't want to pick anything until Ryan puts up the Pick'ems thing, because I still have a little time to marinate on this.
Right, we've still got a few days. We've got, and plus SmackDown, that usually enlightens you.
Here's another interesting thing. So we assume that if AJ does end up winning, and he's a SmackDown guy right now, he was drafted to it, then he's coming to Raw exclusively. That leaves the rest of the OC behind, and that's interesting too.
Yeah, I wonder if they would split them up, or if they would do some kind of, we've negotiated a trade and trade some Raw people for some SmackDown people.
They could, they could eventually turn AJ heel and then have the Judgment Day explode and then have Balor join forces with him.
Right. I mean, he's
something like that.
Or he could be in. He'll be.
I almost feel like Rhea doesn't even really need them anymore.
Oh no, they need her way more.
Yeah.
But I think they'll also have. I think regardless of who wins, Finn is probably one of the first, if not the first challenger.
Yeah.
But then they're having this other guy.
Only
What's his
history,
name?
But Damian Priest is a beast, though.
Oh yeah, Damian Priest. I mean, Damian Priest will get a shot too. But I think, just the history of Finn with either of those guys would be enough to sell the feud on. And you could always have, and because if it is a feud with Judgment Day in general, then whoever wins could wrestle both those guys, no problem.
I'm honestly, I'm almost surprised that they didn't have Dominic win like the finals on on whatever brand he was in.
Right. No, I'm intrigued because the Judgment Day. There seems to be
That's
an implication that JD McDonough, one of these
yeah,
guys.
the former Jordan Devlin.
Yes.
Because he's basically I call him Ugly Finn Balor.
Right.
He's also got this
I get
weird.
it.
Remember those guys in the Gumby series with the blockheads? That's what he looks like. He has like this weird square head. But at the same time, he's was like Balor's underling basically, or he was the next coming of Finn Balor.
Right.
And he's damn good in the ring. So, I could see him joining, whether it's them as a team or him as, just joining or whatever. But,
yeah, maybe that's when the cracks start to form, and eventually it is a breakup thing. But for the moment, him adding, Heidi Day, he's my little Irish brother, or something.
and we've all, no one thought that Dominic would be this hot as a heel,
No.
but it's happened. But at the same time, I don't know how long it's going to last. I feel like, they're going to revisit him versus Ray. Again.
For sure.
And, there's the possibility that Dominic could see his, how he's been acting and eventually get back to, whatever. But, we'll see.
Who knows? And Vicky
Things
Guerrero's
change because fans, if you let them, can dictate how things go.
right. Oh, for sure. And Vicky Guerrero's still a free agent, so that's very possible as well.
Yeah, but then again, she's been in some recent shit, so that's
right. Know. That could be scrapped as well.
But honestly, when has WWE been afraid of hiring someone with controversy?
That's also true. Especially one that maybe not everybody knows about, but
right.
I really don't know.
I mean, this is not as known as like the Hulk Hogan tapes and shit like that,
Right. Yeah, it's not, and I don't know how. I don't know. I would really need to know. It seems like one of those things that you'd need to know more information from both sides.
Really, at this point, the only person that's officially been cut out of wrestling entirely, I think, is Sexy Star at this point.
Oh, has Sexy Star been completely run out at this point?
I think so.
Wow.
But then look, Tessa is around, and she's
that's
full
weird,
of controversy herself too. And this is okay, and this is also a bold statement. I happen to think that Tessa is better than Charlotte Flair. I said it. But she has a lot of baggage, so that's what's ultimately she's her own worst enemy, much like a lot of people.
True. So.
Oh, you know what? Also, one more thing before we end, and I just wanted to say, today is May 23rd. Today, in 1999, Owen Hart tragically passed away, and this is 24 years now.
Holy shit!
Since that happened, now we feel old. But I always think of this day, and I always remember Owen. I've been lucky enough to see him wrestle live several times, and he was just a great family man. Him and Mr. Perfect are like tied as far as like who could do the most shenanigans with
for sure
with pranks and stuff, and he was just loved by everyone. You don't hear a bad thing about him.
Of course not. No.
So I just wanted to say that, God bless Owen Hart.
Yeah, absolutely.
Never a bad time to say that.
No, never. But especially today. Matt Pollock also chiming in Bray Wyatt's 36th birthday.
Damn, Bray is still young enough to do shit.
Yeah, for sure. So when he comes back, I guess it isn't, it's an injury or whatever it is. I'm hoping he comes back too. So, Bray Wyatt, my birthday wish for Bray Wyatt is for him to get his healthy ass back in the ring. And I mean healthy, and not in the sense of size, healthy in the sense of injury free. So it'd be nice to see him back soon. So happy birthday to Bray Wyatt, of course. Any final thoughts from either of you gentlemen before we wrap up for today?
No, I've said my
Not that I can
piece.
think of.
All right, great. For those of you listening at home, thank you for tuning in. Just want to let you know I am going to be on the radio tomorrow, and you don't have to be all the way in Connecticut to listen to it. You can go to WPLR.com. I'm on during the going to be on between 8 and 9 a.m. 99.1 WPLR out here in Connecticut, the Rock of Southern Connecticut, and yeah, that's the place to check me out tomorrow morning for the radio appearance. In general, if you want to follow us here on the show, it's at TagMeADate. That's the social media for the show. At TagMeADate. That's all one word, no spaces. We're on Twitter. We're on Periscope. Periscope is integrated in Twitter now. So we're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook under TagMeADate. Twitch is different. Twitch.tv/War Report. That's the only different one. YouTube is at TagMeADate. So you can go to YouTube, type TagMeADate in the search bar. It'll bring up our page. You can hit subscribe. You can hit the bell to get notifications for when we go live or when we upload a video. We do go live 6 p.m. Tuesdays on Eastern time. And we're broadcasting on live streams on Facebook, on Twitch, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Steve's LinkedIn. So we're all over the place. If you just look for either TagMeADate or the War Report for the live streams, the best place to watch the archives is on Twitch and on YouTube. Again, it's twitch.tv/War Report or YouTube. It's at TagMeADate. You can go check out either of those for our archives, or if you prefer an audio version of the podcast as opposed to the video version, you can just go to your favorite podcast apps such as Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Look for the War Report or for TagMeADate. If you look for the War Report, there are two podcasts called the War Report that both discuss pro wrestling. To make it easy for you guys, both the graphic and the written description of the podcast. Ooh, excuse me, I burped there. In the middle of the graphic and the description of the podcast will both include TagMeADate. It'll include some of the names you recognize, like Steve or Vince or one of the people from the show. We're all we're in the description. So if you read which one's which, you're going to know which one it is. Just subscribe to the audio version, and within the hour, usually of us getting off the air, that audio version is dropped onto your tablet or mobile device, and you can take it with you wherever you want to go. If you're listening to podcasts in the car, or you take it to the gym, or whatever it is that you're doing throughout the day. And that's about it. Just in general, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Oh, wait a minute. Steve is here. Holy shit. So
What's up, guys?
I was literally just about to wrap up. So we're going to do a little
What's up, Steve?
bonus
Nice car, by the
cantos, a
way.
little, what's going on, Steven?
Yeah, I'm so sorry I missed the show. I noticed that you guys were still going, so I said, you know what? Let me see if I could jump on real quick before you guys cut it out. But so sorry, I was on a fishing adventure at a Belmar today from 7 a.m. till 3:30, and then we went to a seafood spot, and I'm on my way back, and I didn't get back into my car to jump on until about 6 minutes ago. So, but I wanted to catch in, especially because this is a big show leading up to Night of Champions. How was the show?
I mean, you're on it. I think it went pretty well.
We talked a lot about a lot of shit.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground.
Well, I would imagine since it's 20 after and we're still going.
Yeah, we ended up talking about, we started off talking about Mercedes Moné, and then kind of talked about CM Punk, and then we started talking about the WWE stuff leading into the pay-per-view. Then we started doing our picks. Of course, David Mosca came in with more facts about wrestling and gymnastics, but he also, Tara and David both made their picks for the pay-per-view. Matt Pollock was chiming in with some stuff and made some picks and made some comments as well. So
we love, by the way, folks, we love the interaction. We love it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. No, if you were, I was just going to say, if you have friends that listen to wrestling podcasts or the wrestling live streams and want to get into it, just share with your friends. All you got to do is click the share button and send it over to them.
I mean,
Give them a link to this
this is
show.
how Kat became a member
Literally,
of
she was
the.
just listening to the show and then wanted to chime in with us. But before we go, is there anything you want to say, Steve, about Night of Champions
Yeah,
or
do
the
those
main
picks
events or
and-
anything?
Well, I will tell you one thing that's pissing me off, and
We always
we
welcome
just
that.
can. Well, we just continue to drop the ball with Karrion Kross. I don't understand why we continue to have him TikTok and pull cards about AJ and like all the guys that he's just not going to beat. So
Right.
it just devalues the gimmick more and more. He was such a fucking badass back in NXT, and they ruined him by changing the whole gimmick up and not including Scarlett in the production. Triple H finally made it right, and they're still fucking it up. But I will tell you this, because of all that and because of what happened with the Grayson Waller effect, I now do not think AJ is going to win. Last week I said I think AJ is going to pull it out.
Yes.
Now I don't think so because I think there's too many reasons for him to get screwed. And I don't think he's going to win.
That's fair. And you know what? And I said, because I'm kind of like going to still marinate on this for a bit, but ultimately at the end of the day, whether it's Seth Rollins or AJ Styles, we as fans are the winners here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would hope so. I hope the match is good enough for me to say that at the end of it. It's like, you know what? It didn't matter who won. But either guy would have been the right choice, and they had a hell of a match.
That match on paper should steal the show.
Yeah.
It should.
No, I 100% agree that it should steal the show, and I hope it. I hope it lives up to it.
Even though we think it should main event, I don't think it will main event. Or
Cody Brock Lesnar is going to main event.
See, I was saying the title match should main event because it's the new champion. But yeah,
I was thinking the bloodline thing is going to main event.
I mean, when you say something, when you say it's a triple main event, they could go anywhere. Yeah.
I mean, the other option, they could start the pay-per-view with that crowning of the new champion.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, look, when they started a WrestleMania with Seth beating Brock for the title.
They did. They did.
They
could do it again.
We were at, right?
Like we always say, the opening match of a big pay-per-view is just as important as the main event. You got to start strong. You got to finish strong.
Yeah, no one wants to go second. You either go first or last,
Right.
Got to set a precedent.
I mean, they definitely can't start off with Mustafa Ali versus Gunther. You can't start the show with that title match because it's going to be a fucking annihilation.
Right. Oh, yeah. We've already... Yeah, we went over that.
Tara
it's going to be a
had
bad
the
day.
Best comment of all for that match. She says, I like Mustafa, but come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, outside of the fact that he's going home, it makes no fucking sense. But, people could have said the same about Zelina Vega, but they had to do it because they were in Puerto Rico. And, I mean, the reception from the crowd was enough to prove that they made the right decision by doing that. Whether or not they made the right decision of her not winning is to be seen. But the reality is they still put on the match, which, if they were not in Puerto Rico, that match was not going to happen. I mean, that's the reality.
I was saying the same thing. It's the equivalent of that, and we kind of know the finish is not really in question. The fans are going to cheer because it's the hometown person, but like they're not going to win. Like Ali's not winning.
Yeah, it kind of like Natalia's not winning against Rhea. And we brought this up too. I kind of look at it as the annual, we need to do something with Natalia for a second thing. That's
well, you know what though? But it's a viable competitor.
Yeah.
To Rhea.
She's
like Natalia,
the most dependable woman in the company.
Natalia is a believable rival to Rhea, more so than Zelina Vega, for example. I mean, when you put the stats on paper, so I don't know. I think with the limited options that they have, I mean, also don't forget too, and brand assignment aside, we lost 2 women in one match, and from what it sounds like, they're both going to be out for an extended period of time. Dakota Kai has an ACL tear, I believe it was.
Awful.
Yeah.
So
she's
and Liv Morgan is, what was her official diagnosis? Did they say? All I know is that she'll be out an extended period of time, which is why they jumped to vacate the titles. And then, of course,
I don't know. Yeah.
And then, of course, the big revelation for the mystery partner for Raquel is going to be fucking Shotzi. I can't tell you how fucking thrilled I am for that one.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people like Shotzi, for instance, and Tegan Knox, I think, also, who they're not doing shit with anyway. Send them back to NXT.
I could give a flying fuck about Shotzi if she's in NXT, Raw, SmackDown, AEW, my mother's ass. I could give a shit less. Shotzi sucks. However, what's her face? Knox. Now that's a different story. I am a big fan of Knox, and they should do more with her.
Yeah. I mean, was she one that got let go and came back, or was she? What was her deal?
So.
She was let go, and then Triple H brought her back.
So fucking do something with her.
Honestly,
is she in? Tara just asked if Tegan's injured.
Tegan, is she? I don't know, but
I have no idea.
It makes a lot more sense to be Raquel's partner, especially because Tegan has the history with fucking Dakota Kai in NXT. So that's very true. Itself makes more sense.
Well, because some of the best stories, like we always say, is when they connect with a past, something that ties it all together, or something that comes full circle. Yeah. And a story like that would do that because they do have that history. It's really the same with Raquel and Dakota Kai. There's a big history there. I mean, Raquel started out as Dakota's muscle.
Yeah.
Yep. If you remember. So, there's all those kind of things where it helps go full circle, but, we'll have to see. Oh, and I have to say this. We had a debut on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Simply Pretty Deadly, whatever the fuck they're called.
Yeah.
Boy, do they fucking suck.
I
knew you were going to say that.
I don't know
NXT UK. They're just awful.
I don't know if it's the gimmick or I don't know. But I can tell you the first time out, I thought they fucking sucked. The entrance sucked. Their whole promo work sucked. I do think they're fucking each other, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I do think that's happening. I don't know, dude. I just cannot get behind them, and I appreciated the total ass whooping that they received on their debut, and then, of course, the cheap win in the end for them for their debut. But holy shit, I hope that they are wished the best in their future endeavors sooner than later.
Right? Yeah. Oh, my God. I don't think they'll do that because they promoted him for a reason, but it's for a certain set of people and it's not for us. Like we're not the target demo for this at all.
Tara absolutely despises them.
And like I said, there's nothing wrong with what they could potentially be trying to get across in the whole they could be together kind of thing. And let's not start up a whole fucking thing here. I'm not against it. I have no problem with it. I just think that their gimmick sucks and they suck. I'm not sold on them.
Yeah,
I put them in the same category, quite frankly, right now, as that other fucking NXT girl that came up on Raw, Stark, Zoe, or whatever.
Oh, okay.
She's another one that I think is absolute trash. So
right. Well. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, anything else you want to say here, Steve?
I don't know. I think I got pretty much in. I mean, I have my picks for the pay-per-view, which I assume we'll do a pick 'em, and I'll put him in there. But no, other than that, I look forward to going back and listening to what I missed. And I appreciate you guys holding it down in my absence again. I always
Likewise.
hate missing the show, so
Yeah.
but I know I can always count on you guys, and I'll listen
And,
back. And next week
yeah.
I will be on for sure. So.
And I did like a brief, like maybe 30-second thing about Owen Hart. Today was the day he died 24 years ago.
Mhm.
So
Oh no shit! I didn't realize that was
Yeah.
today.
yeah.
We probably
we
should have
did-
opened the show with his music.
I know. If I knew, I would. I did it with Brock because Brock was kind of the theme of Monday night's show.
Oh my
But
god,
yeah, you know,
boy, did Brock
can't
beat
wait
the
till you
holy hell
listen
out
back.
of Cody.
Yeah.
Steve, I can't wait till you listen back because this was a damn good show.
Yeah, I think this was a good one. And just so you know, you're right. Tara says, "Thank you. God bless you, Steve Glenwick."
That's about the
They
text
fucking
that you
so
just
wow,
talked about.
Tara. I don't ever really see Tara swear a lot in these comments. So for her to say that they fucking suck is something.
That might
how
be a
much they
first.
suck.
That's yeah. I don't know if it's not a first. It's definitely a second or a third. It's a rare occasion to see Tara get fired up like that. But I guess we oh the one. Yeah, I mean, he know David knows. David's in Canada. David Roska, paying his respects to Owen. I guess we should probably call it for now. We did 90 minutes. Holy shit. We did all the plugs. You already know at TagMeADate, twitch.tv/War Report. Go to your favorite podcast app and search for the War Report and subscribe to us. Don't subscribe to the other War Report that's not us. And yeah, check me out tomorrow, WPLR.com between 8 and 9 a.m. Eastern time. I'm going to be on live with Chaz and AJ in the morning. So I guess with that, on behalf of Ryan, who had to take off, Eric, who stuck with us through the show, Steve, who dropped in a few minutes ago, about 20 minutes ago to finish up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be back next Tuesday, 6 p.m. on Eastern time with another edition of your favorite wrestling podcast, The War Report. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next time.